Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. How's everybody doing today? Great to be with you again. Our last MLB update. We haven't been regular, well, been plenty regular, but we haven't been regularly doing shows with the off season. And when there is news, we come on, but we'll be on vacation for the next couple of weeks. So this will be our last show for at least 2 weeks. Lots to get up on. We welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're certainly live, not just on TGI Sports Talk, but on the McGrath Podcast Network. Glad to have you with us, as always. Quick shout out to all the groups that you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime and Love for Baseball. Who else? Flo and Can from Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and Can do their main broadcast goes to, and they're certainly also good friends of ours. DDH, thumbs up there, and Tanner D, keep up the good work. Glad to be able to share with you guys as well, and also Ken Krautz over at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff, specifically the Sports Corner from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday with Smokin' Jim Williams. Vacation coming up, but we got a lot to cover. I want to cover the Hall of Fame voting. Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones get in. Maybe good news for Chase Utley and Andy Pettit. We'll talk about that as well. As next year, there's not a guarantee Hall of Famer in that entire class starting next year. So it'll be good for some holdovers, and we'll see how that shakes out. We'll talk about the Yankees re-signing Cody Bellinger, what that might mean for Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones, and the Yankees in general with their offseason. Mets make a couple of big moves this week, picking up Freddie Peralta, who the Yankees were interested in but would not give up Jason Dominguez, or the Brewers weren't interested in him. They also picked up Luis Robert, as well as picking up, obviously, Polanco and Marcus Semien, previously this offseason, excuse me. And, of course, Bo Bichette, the big domino for the Mets. Great job. And I think a better signing, quite frankly, than Tucker for the Dodgers. So we'll see how that goes. You guys can certainly ring in with your comments if you like, as well as always. Are we live on my I know we had trouble getting live again on Facebook, so I apologize for that. Hopefully that is cleared up. I'm trying to see if I'm live on my page right now quickly. And we are, so that's good. We'll be making more of an effort to incorporate YouTube and grow YouTube in this new year, hopefully. I know I've talked about that in the past. Lots of stuff going on, though. Cody Bellinger, the biggest news to me this week. Well, Hall of Fame voting is the biggest news to me. And we'll revisit this in the second half of the show if it makes sense to do so. Let's see, where's our here's the complete voting. Carlos Beltran gets 84.2%, needing 75% to get in. Carlos Beltran over the top after being very close the last couple of years, especially last year. It was his 4th year on the ballot. He gets in with 84.2%, as I said. Andrew Jones gets in with 78.4%. This was his 9th year. He would have had one more shot after this. I think Andrew Jones is a very, very compelling entry here. And I think, quite frankly, maybe a better case for the Hall of Fame than Carlos Beltran, quite frankly. Chase Utley gets 59.1%, which is about a 18 or 19% increase over last year. Andy Pettit jumps up to 48.5, which is a 20% increase over last year. A-Rod, never getting in, I don't think. He's up to 40%. Manny falls off the ballot, 38.8%. This is his last year on the ballot. Also not staying on the ballot would be Edwin Carcione, Shin-Soo Choo, Matt Kemp, Hunter Pence, Rick Porcello, Alex Gordon, Nick Markakis, Gio Gonzalez, Howie Kendrick, and Daniel Murphy. The last 3 guys got no votes at all, and single digits for the others that I mentioned. They will be off the ballot next year, including the big news, I think, besides Beltran and Jones getting in, is Manny falling off, who, quite frankly, might be a better candidate than either of the guys that got in. Andrew Jones has a very solid resume in my mind because of the glove, maybe the best defensive center fielder of all time. But Manny should be in. It's the steroid stigma that keeps him out. Good news, I think, for Utley and Pettit, as they are positioned to make a big move next year and possibly get in, if not next year, the year after. There are no shoo-in candidates next year. The best candidate next year is Buster Posey. Fine player, not getting in the Hall of Fame. Hello, Scott Kobe. How are you? Do I think the Dodgers signing Kyle Tucker is a bad thing for the game? No, I don't. That's the rules. You know what's bad for the game? Let me finish the question, I guess. And will it lead to a lockout? Yes. I don't think it's bad for the game. I'm sorry. I'm not. I've gone back and forth on this, and I'm a free trade guy, man. Capitalism says you get what somebody thinks you're worth. I pay you. What's worse for the game, Scott? The guys who won't spend any money. The owners of the Rockies, the owners of the Pirates, the owners of the Royals to some extent, the Marlins. These owners who get in here and won't spend their money. They won't even spend other people's money that's given to them through the luxury tax system. It's ridiculous. And there shouldn't be, we should be talking about a salary floor before we start talking about salary caps, in my mind. Is the Dodgers, what the Dodgers doing great for baseball? No, but you know what? You know how to stop them? Go spend more money or beat them and show them that this doesn't work. If you do things to hinder, free and open bargaining, let's say, in MLB or any sport, you're going to open up yourself to charges of collusion, which happens every time the owners try to do anything here. So, that can't happen either, right? I mean, the owners should control themselves. Shouldn't need to police them. And, I don't believe in revenue sharing. I wouldn't do it in my life. I don't think we ought to do it anywhere, quite frankly. He's worth $60 million because the Dodgers are willing to pay it. Is he going to earn it? Totally different question. Totally different question. I personally think Bo Bichette signing with the Mets is a much better deal, and I think a better fit than Kyle Tucker with the Dodgers. Bo Bichette, to me, was the guy to get this year for the Yankees, for the Mets, probably your Sox. A lot of teams could have used Bo Bichette this year. I think he brings better flexibility. I think he's better defensively than this point at different position, obviously. Kyle Tucker's gone from being a really above average outfielder to pretty much, average in the last year. Is he going to come elite again? Guys don't normally become elite again after not being elite anymore. So, I fall in a minority that, doesn't really want a cap because to me, the real problem and the real danger to baseball is the guys who won't spend money. Yes, you got to get it under control, but the owners can't control their own appetites. Who am I to say you shouldn't spend that money? Because, by the way, you also have to spend it wisely. Let's not forget, the Dodgers didn't run away with the West last year. The Dodgers haven't won the last 4 World Series any more than I think the Dodgers are going to win the next 4 World Series. I think we get too overblown about this, and, you own the Dodgers, you own the Yankees, you own the Red Sox, you own the Phillies, the Mets. You have more resources, you should be able to spend more money. You also have to be willing to do it. The Yankees right now are about $20 million over where Hal Steinbrenner wanted to be. They've tried to put a handcuff on themselves, if you will, for spending, if you can call $300 million a handcuffs. But most people are going to say no, nobody's worth $60 million. I'm always going to tell you, you are worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you. That's plain and simple. That's the way it works in this country. Pretty good country, right? May not work that way in Iran, but it works that way here. May not work that way in Venezuela, at least the last 25 years, but it works that way here. Now you have to go earn the money. That's a different situation. So if you come back to me and say to me at the end of last year, did Kyle Tucker earn $60 million? I'm probably going to say no. But is he worth it? Absolutely. Did everyone know the Dodgers keep 100% of their TV money? That deal was created by the McCourt fiasco. I don't know what everybody's individual TV revenue is. So do the Yankees, by the way. The Yankees own their own TV network. They don't share anything. I don't know what the Red Sox situation is. I couldn't tell you. I know the Dodgers because of conversations. I know the Yankees because I follow the team. So I don't know. Again, you own the Dodgers. They're worth more than the Colorado Rockies. You got to work harder as a, and they don't even try. Let's be real here too. These teams aren't even trying at the bottom of the ladder. We know that. You can't afford to compete, then get out and let somebody get in that can. Sure, he won't have the resources that the Dodgers and the Yankees have. Then he better bring his own with him. You think Mark Cuban couldn't go into Colorado and find a way to compete, putting his own money into play? 100% he could. Hello, AC. How are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. The Yankees are over by $20 million. Feel free to send the Red Sox a couple players. Well, we're not sending players anywhere, probably. Again, this is Hal Steinbrenner's own self-imposed budget, which if they want to compete, they won't either. You're not going to sign Kyle Tucker's, and I don't care. I'd rather have Cody Bellinger, quite frankly, than Kyle Tucker. I really would at this point. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He can play first base, and he plays every one of them better than Kyle Tucker plays them. Kyle Tucker might have a little more pop in his bat. I find Cody Bellinger to be a better baseball player than Kyle Tucker. Bo Bichette's better than both of them, in my mind. So good deal for the Mets. Red Sox own Ness, and that's what I thought. I wasn't going to make a absolute comment on that because I wasn't sure, but I did think that Nesson was owned by the Red Sox. AC says, I got 2 Red Sox fans here today, so I hope somebody else speaks up because these guys are going to be all over the Red Sox today. There's John Gonzalez, I see, like the show. John's a Yankee fan. Yankees got an interesting, I'm happy we have Bellinger and Judge in the fold, by the way. I'm not happy about paying all that money to Trent Grisham because he's not hitting 30 home runs this year, by the way. His glove is one of the most overrated gloves in baseball. And he's also blocking the way for Dominguez to progress. And maybe he won't. He's only 22, don't forget. Going to be 23. And Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones is 26 years old, guys. you can't just sit him in AAA for the rest of your lives. You got to play him eventually. Now Grissom's only signed on a 1-year deal. If the Yankees were going to use Jones or use Dominguez as a trade chip, that's not going to happen now because the trade chips are all gone. With Peralta getting traded and what's his name? Gore. Oh, God, who's the guy from Gore? Yeah, Gore. Gore gets traded to the Rangers. Nice trade, nice pitching acquisition for the Rangers. So you're not going to use either one of those guys in a trade at this point. Who's out there available that you really, unless you want to just move the body out of your organization? I don't know why you do that with a 22-year-old kid. Unless both these guys you give up on and you say they're just never going to make it here in New York. The Yankees are not, they're set in the outfield at 2 positions. They're not set at 3. But as it stands now, with the money they're going to pay Grisham, Dominguez is going to sit the bench, and Spencer Jones is going to be back in AAA. Scott agrees they're not trying. The White Sox were trying, but a trade of Robert signals that might be gone. I don't know that they've been trying the last 3 years, have they? I mean, they did. And these things go in cycles. I understand. You tear everything down and you don't spend any money, and then you go and rebuild everything until you can spend your money. I'm not really talking about the White Sox of the world. I'm talking more about, the Rockies come to mind, obviously. The Pirates always come to mind. The Marlins always come to mind. Even the Rays, it worked for a while. But if you're not willing to spend money, it's time to get another hobby. This isn't a hobby anymore. This is big business, obviously. Bellinger by a mile over Tucker. I agree. For about half the price, Scott, per year. And I'm not a big fan of opt-outs. Bellinger got opt-outs in his 2nd and 3rd year. Well, I'm not a big fan of opt-outs because I'm going to give you $162 million. That's kind of life-altering money in my mind. I mean, I don't know anybody in my life that it wouldn't be. I don't know that I really want, if I want to guarantee you all that money, I don't know that I want to give you opt-outs at any point. I'll give myself some opt-outs. If you want opt-outs, give them to me too. But in this case, they gave him to him in year 2 and 3. And if he does opt out, it means they had a great year. They got 2 great years out of Bellinger. So you can look at it that way. And I'm going to try to keep my positive mindset here and not go down this negative road I always go on with these opt-outs, which just tick me off to no end. Do I agree the Red Sox are a bat short? I like the Contreras deal too, Scott, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm not sure about Arenado because he's done. I mean, he hasn't had a good year in 3 years. He's still a good defensive player, but as far as a bat, I don't know that he would have helped you that much. Let me take a quick look at let's take a quick look at the Red Sox since you're going to make me. So let's see. We won't look. We'll look at. I don't think your catching situation is awful. It's not great offensively, but I like Narvaez a little bit. I like Contreras playing first base or DHing, and you still have Cassis over there for a bit of a glove. Not crazy about the offense out of second base. You might get a surprise there, but. Not a big fan of the bat at second base. I'm not a big fan of the bats at third base either. I mean, Ayer might be a good player. Shortstop, Trevor Story has, I think, been a solid player. Whether, again, he's earned the money that he was given by the Red Sox, a different story. But when healthy, Story's been a pretty good player. Him playing shortstop every day, is he going to make it through the season is another question. I certainly like Duran in the outfield. I like Yoshida. I like Rafaela a lot. I like Abreu. I know that AC likes Abreu a lot. I like him. I do not think he's a future Hall of Famer, but I think he's a solid major league bat. I think you are a bat, at least a bat short here. I really do. Yoshida, I think, is a primary DH probably, right? But I think you're going to have to like Contreras there as well. I don't like the bats around the infield other than Stories right now, and Contreras when he's playing first base. Roman Anthony's another guy. Myers is another guy I like. But again, when we're counting on guys to live up to expectations, and I can tell you this firsthand as a Yankee fan, guys don't always hit it on the first time around. Dominguez has been a bit of a disappointment, right? If you want to compare the result to the hype, I know guys have to grow. I'm not down on him necessarily. I'm just saying the reality is when you're relying on guys who have not produced or had a chance to produce, then it's a bit of a wild card. They may very well, but they also, it's a 50-50 shot, really. I mean, look, the most hyped players in the league often come to the big leagues and struggle. Now, these guys have had a taste. I believe both of them have had a taste. I don't know about Myers. But I do like the potential of these guys, but potential does not always equal success, at least not right away. And Jason Dominguez is a great example of that. Volpe is a great example of that to some extent. Who's a team in free agency trading that you think has done the best for their organization and sets them up for success this year? The Blue Jays, assuming I want to be careful. I'm not trying to be hypocritical here, right? I wouldn't have given Dylan Cease what I gave him. I like what the Padres, or I'm sorry, I like what I like what the Blue Jays have done. I like what the Orioles have done, quite frankly. I don't dislike what the Red Sox have done. I like some of the pitching additions in Pittsburgh. Let me just see something here. Let's just check something out here. Obviously the Dodgers. Dodgers are stacked. Blue Jays I liked a lot. As I said, getting Shane Bieber at the end of last year and keeping him, I think, was important. The Mets, I mean, if it works out with the guys, three guys playing out of position or at new positions at least in the infield, I think they've done pretty well. The Rangers, I would have said, were a loser until recently. I think the Gore trade is a really good move for them. With the White Sox, Rockies, obviously. I think some people will tell you that, the Pirates have made some interesting moves, but they're nothing that's going to move the needle that much, I don't think. Again, I don't dislike what you've done here in Boston, quite frankly. You obviously got Crochet. I like the Ranger Suarez signing. The potential is great there. I like the Sonny Gray signing, assuming you're getting the St. Louis or Oakland version of Sonny Gray and not the Yankee version. Bellows, a good guy at the back of the rotation. He's already there, obviously. So I kind of like what they did here. I'm not crazy about the bullpen. The Yankees, other than starting pitching, I think the Yankees had to get Bellinger. Without Bellinger, this offseason would have been a total 100% disaster. I like the Ryan Weathers acquisition as well for the Yankees. Starting rotation depth, the lefty out of the bullpen where they need it. I think that's good. Roman Anthony looked good once he got called up last year. He did play well. Again, you got to go around the league a couple times and then keep it going after that, in my mind. But again, all signs point to Roman Anthony being the real deal, and we'll find out. Right now, third base, because they acquired Marcus Semien in the offseason, don't forget, their center fielder, or their left fielder, wherever he was playing at the time. Help me out. Jeez. Having a brain fart. I'll get there. Don't worry. Let's trade. Oh, why can't I remember the freaking guy's name? Oh, my God. Isn't that terrible? I love the Freddie Peralta trade for the Mets, by the way. It's just not coming to me. Why not? Somebody will help me out. Nemo, thank you. I see it there. Jesus, God. Not a name you should forget, Nemo. I like Nemo. I think Nemo's going to have a big year in Texas, by the way. I think he'll get a tick up in the power department. I think he's a pretty consistent hitter. He's not going to hit 330, right? But you're going to get a guy around 280, 290. He's going to hit, I think, this year 25 or 30 home runs in Texas. He's a plus defensive player. I like him. And Simeon's coming off a bad year, but he is the Mets second baseman. So again, you got three guys going to play at new positions. Bichette at third. I guess two guys. I'm sorry. Polanco's going to play first base. He's used to playing second base, shortstop, and third base. He's played all those positions. He's never played an inning at any level of baseball at first base. So that's going to be interesting to see. And Lindor is obviously a fixture and the anchor of that team. Lindor's a guy who has earned his contract, by the way, in my mind. Mackenzie Gore was a kind of surprise move. It was a bit of a surprise. And Alan, you should be happy with that. I know the Yankees were trying to put a package together for Mackenzie Gore, and I'm sure a lot of other guys were as well. Very surprised that Washington went down this road, at least at this time. So anyway, there you go. Thank you, Alan Nemo, for Simeon. Look, it's kind of a challenge trade a little bit, right? I think Nemo's a really good player. I think, Alan, you get the better of this. I don't know who's playing second base for you right off the top of my head until I start diving into depth charts in the spring, but it's hard to me think about baseball when I got 2 feet of snow in a way. And I have to get on an airplane Tuesday morning, hopefully. It's not a matter of whether the planes will take off. It's going to be a matter of whether our plane is here. Anyway. But again, Alan, I like Nemo. I think Nemo's going to have a positive year. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the things that Texas normally does. They've made 2 good moves. I like Nemo playing in that ballpark, playing in the American League. I think he'll have an uptick, as I said, in power. I like the Mackenzie Gore trade. So that moves them up in my offseason, pluses and minuses. I don't think they've had a great offseason. I don't think they've had a horrible one either, I guess. I know. Didn't even give up our best guy to do it either. That's always a good sign, right? I don't know what the Nationals are doing. That's another team. By the way, yeah, I know you wanted a world championship when was it? 2019? 2019 they won, I think. But what about the rest of the years? Josh Smith's one of the guys we got back for Gallo. I like Josh Smith, by the way. And you know what? He's a nice player. He's not a guy that you're going to fall in love with playing every day, but he can move around the diamond. He can play a bunch of different positions. I think the key to this trade for the Nationals was Fine or Fenn, however you say his name, Alan. You could mispronounce it for me if you like. But he had 2 years of control left, and he's only going to make $4 million. I don't know what the Nationals are doing. They could have done better than this. I think there's a lot of organizations that would have done better than this for Gore, a guy with his talent. 27 years old. This is when a lot of guys will tell you, and I know we've had this little debate that people think the numbers moved. To me, it's still 27. 27 is when the guys mature and either going to make it or they're not. And he's hitting that age right now. That's always been my sweet spot, 27 years old. Well, we're not going to see Cole probably till May. I mean, the Yankees staff is fairly deep, quite frankly. Now, how quality depth it is remains to be seen. You still got Fried at the top. You got Cam Sheetler, which there's no reason he won't continue to improve. You can expect sometimes to have a little bit of regression once the league catches up with them a little bit. We'll see. You certainly got Heel. You've got Weathers. You've got Will Warren. Those guys will fill out the rotation in April, and you've got Rondon and Cole coming back sometime late April, early May. I wouldn't expect to see Garrett Cole before he's back, probably May, 1st of May anyway. How he'll do, I think the Yankees will probably have kid gloves on him. A lot of times with these surgeries too, it's the second year. It's a second year. Similar to running backs in the NFL with knee injuries, right? It's a second year where they really feel comfortable and they're back at 100% and they feel confident that they're not going to get hurt again. And this injury is one in baseball that second year sometimes is the one to watch. Hopefully, Garrett Cole's a quality pitcher. Garrett Cole's going to have a decent year. Garrett Cole will be a very integral part to whatever success the Yankees have. The Yankees are going to look a little different than last year, but not 100% different. I'm still not sold on the bullpen depth, quite frankly. Ben Rice looks like he'll be the first baseman and not do as much catching. Austin Wells handled that pretty well. His defense has gotten better. His power is good. He needs to be more consistent with the bat. Obviously, Rice is going to be the main guy at first base. You'll see some of Rosario over there. They signed Jose Calabero, who play all around the infield and outfield. Remember, he came in late last year. They got Oswaldo Cabrera still. Who's the guy they signed? Luciano, I think, is the right-hander for first base, possibly, to play against some lefties. But I think you'll see Rice against most lefties. We'll see how that happens. Second base, you've obviously got Jazz Chisholm is not going anywhere, even though there were some rumors he would be. You've got Ryan McMahon and Rosario holding over at third base. A good defense. You'll get there, and you'll get what you get with the bat. And Volpe is going to be a question mark for opening day as well. So it'll be interesting for the Yankees. Losing Kyle Tucker doesn't help them. Let me take a look at the roster real quick. Just to remind myself. Big problem. Getting Edwin Cabrera is huge for the Cubs, by the way. That was one of the guys, everybody getting another great live young arm, I should say, that everybody's after. He's a big kid, throws hard. Some injury issues, but Cubs got him. That's a big pickup for them. Keeping Gaga, or whatever the hell his name is good. Matthew Boyd is who he is. Not a deep pitching staff. I like the top of it. And you get what you get with the rest. Again, not crazy about the bullpen. Carson Kelly played well behind the plate last year, and I think he'll continue to, be a good part of a platoon there. Bringing in Tyler Austin is another nice bat off the bench, first base and a little bit of outfield. I like Michael Busch there. Second base, you got Nico Horner. Again, he is what he is. Third base, big improvement with Bregman coming in there. So, listen, the Cubs, and I haven't even started diving into, who's favorites and who's not. The Cubs are going to have enough to compete in that Central Division. I still like the Reds as we talk about it. What would be interesting for me, and Dasby Swanson at shortstop, by the way, for the Cubs is a solid player. I like their outfield. You may see Matt Shaw out there a little bit. I look for Matt Shaw to rebound a little bit from really was a horrible rookie season for him. It did not work out well for him. But, Pete Crow Armstrong is strong in center field, and you can surround him with Suzuki and Happ and Austin a little bit from the left-hand side. The right-hand side. And, the Cubs are a decent baseball team. I'm not a fan of Rendon. I've said that since the minute he got signed. I didn't want him. I still don't want him. And it's Rendon. It's not how you spell his name, I don't think. Let me just check. I believe it's R-O-N-D-O-N. The guy you're talking about just got let go by the Angels, and he really sucks, by the way. There's a guy who didn't even want to play the game. He didn't like his job. We'll just give you tens of millions of dollars to go away. But I'm not a fan of Rondon either, because injuries, you get a few games out of him, but I don't see the consistency that I like to see. I don't see the big games in the postseason. Again, I wasn't crazy about him when they signed him. I'm still not crazy about him. I root for him when he pitches. I don't root for guys to fail, right? Just because I don't like them. Here's the thing to remember about me. I don't need guys to fail to prove me right. I would like nothing more than Carlos Rondon to go out and win 20 games this year and win, 6 games in a postseason, lead the Yankees to a World Series and shove it in my face. I don't want guys to fail for me to be right. I don't want that ever. I want to be wrong. When I'm difficult and hard on my team, and I am very hard on my teams, hard on all your guys' teams too. But I'm no harder on anybody else's team than I am my own. And I want to be wrong. Always want to be wrong when I have criticisms and negative comments about my teams. I think the loss of Luke Weaver is huge. I think Luke Weaver is the most consistent reliever the Yankees have had over the last at least the last 2 seasons. And he also doesn't complain. He was a closer when Williams failed last year. We even went back to the closer. He was the closer, remember, in the postseason run. He ran out of gas against the Dodgers. He hurt his arm. He didn't pitch at 100% most of last year. He worked his way, pitched really well, except for a handful of spots, became the closer. And then when they traded for Bednar and they traded for whoever the hell else they traded for for like 3 guys who could close at the trade deadline, he stepped back. He became the 6th inning guy. Why? I don't know. Go ask Aaron Boone. Your most reliable reliever over the last 2 years, and you put him in the 6th inning role? You wonder why I don't like Aaron Boone. And I know that likely Cashman told him to do that. The Cubs are definitely going to the playoffs. Bregman has never missed the playoffs. That's good. That's true. That's a good point. Bregman's a solid player. Is he as good a player as he was 6 years ago? No. But he still brings a good glove. He's got a good bat when he's healthy. Still very good bat when he's healthy. He's not great anymore. Brings professionalism to the team, I think. He's a good character guy. And character does matter. Time we got another 20 minutes. We got the biggest key for the Cubs is can Pete Crow Armstrong, I'm assuming that's come close to duplicating what he did last year. Again, young guys, right? He could take a step back. The Mets are certainly probably still wishing they had him. But I can tell you that I think he will. I think he's a solid player. The times I saw him, and I'm not going to tell you that I saw him play a lot. I watch every Yankee game. I can't see everything other than highlights on other guys. And I don't think any of us can. And if you do, then God bless you. You've got more time in your day than I do. But from all that I have seen of Pete Crow Armstrong, I think he's a real deal. But obviously that's an important factor for the Cubs going forward. You only root for, well, yes. I root for him to fail. And remember, I do not root for him to get hurt, ever. I do not root for injuries, ever. I want to beat you at your best. Then I want you to fail on the field. Especially the Red Sox. We do hate the Red Sox. You know, part of it's the fans. Somehow I muted myself. You mute me, Scott. Rendon disappeared on the postseason. Devin Williams, same thing. He does it. He always does. And that's why Devin Williams is now pitching, on the opposite side of town. Not a move I'm happy with the Mets making, by the way. I don't think replacing Edwin Diaz, and again, I know you don't have a lot of options, and I think they'll probably find out that Weaver is going to be a better option in the ninth inning than Devin Williams eventually. At least consistently. Alan, let's see. I know we're only in January, but who do you think is going to be the surprise team this year? That's a tough one right now, Alan. If you're going to put me on and I think you mean good, right? I think the Orioles will bounce back. Again, I'm not sure what to make of their new manager. We'll see how that goes. I don't think they really should have fired Brandon Hyde. I'd watch the Orioles this year. I mean, your Rangers could be a surprise, I suppose, depending on how all these new pieces work out. The Braves bouncing back, I don't think we can count that as a surprise. Cardinals continuing to play bad baseball, maybe that would be a surprise. What else? The Dodgers, of course not. How about the Giants? I think it's going to be 2 years in a row, maybe 3 years in a row I picked the Giants, but it's a little early, but those are some of the teams I would kind of consider. I'm on now, aren't I? Am I not on now? Live or no? Hang on, let me try something. I hear that. Somebody tell me if I'm live. I'm good. All right. Did you hear my surprise team? I'm guessing you did. If you didn't, then let me know and I'll repeat what I said about surprise teams. There we go. Thank you. We never. Me never. Why would you do that to a Yankees fan? I think you did mute me. The surprise team of the year will be the Colorado Rockies. Scott. Is that because they get relegated to Double-A or what? You are kidding, right? I mean, please tell me you're kidding. I mean, where do we see? I think you're kidding. Before I put a lot of effort into this, tell me you're not kidding. You say the A's. The A's, again, I would say the Mariners are going to be as good as they were last year or better. If their pitching staff is healthy the entire year, I see the Mariners being better than they were last year. They do have Polanco to replace, but I guess the A's. The A's have always been a chic team to say, oh, they're going to get better, and then they look better in April, and they look like crap. And the thing is, if they stay good, if they get good, are they going to be together long enough to be really good? Very doubtful. Hello, Danny Fuller. No, thank you. Before I spent a lot of time there, Jesus. Since you said that, let me take a. Oh, don't talk about that team in Denver. My God. Let me take a look at the A's real quick. We'll dive into this stuff a lot more. I mean, you just start off with the pitching staff, and any pitching. Listen, I like Luis Severino. He stays healthy. He's got talent. Can't stay healthy. Can't stay consistent. I don't like this starting pitching staff right off the bat. Will you get a surprise or two out of there? Absolutely. I'm not a big fan of the pitching staff, and you got to be able to pitch. And plus, you're playing in a Bush League stadium out there. I'm sorry, there's no other way to talk about it. You can talk about, well, dimensions or this and that. I watched every game the Yankees played out there. That is a double-A freaking ballpark. The catcher situation is what it is. You know, Langoliers is a decent defensive player, not going to give you a ton with the bat. Nick Kurtz, great player. In fact, I think I saw his rookie card just sold for like $500,000. So I like that. Jeff McNeil is there now at second base. Good, or third base, depending on where he's going to play. Maybe Geloff is going to start there. Maybe McNeil's going to be a utility man. I don't really know. Third base with Hernandez. I do like Jacob Wilson a lot. I think they got a plus player there. They got a plus player, obviously, in Kurtz. I like some of their outfielders. Brett Rooker's a nice player. Lawrence Butler, I think, has more of a ceiling than we've seen yet. Yeah, they got some good young players. They could surprise. I think they'll go as far as their pitching takes them, and I don't think the pitching is going to get it done. Plus, they're playing at a ballpark that sucks. The surprise would be if they lose less than 120 games. That's for the Rockies. Yeah, again, this is the problem. I started the show with the Hall of Fame, which we can still talk about a little bit. I'm okay with the selections. I don't know about you guys. I do think Beltran and Jones getting in were good. Manny Ramirez, his last shot doesn't get in. Probably not fair. I think also a couple of big winners are going to be Utley and Pettit, who are positioned to potentially get in the next year. If they continue to climb, they could get in the next year or two. Plus, there's no candidates to be first ballot Hall of Famer next year. None. And Danny, I did talk about the Dodgers. The very first question I got today was, do I think what the Dodgers did with Tucker and what the Dodgers do in general, I guess, is good for baseball or bad for baseball? And I said no. What's bad for baseball are the teams like the Rockies, who we're talking about here, not spending money. Do not come to me with any kind of freaking revenue caps. You shouldn't be limiting what guys have a chance to earn. Again, this country is what it is because you can go out and earn what people are willing to pay you. Go out and earn the money. And if you don't want to compete on the major league level as an owner and spend money, then don't get involved. You know how you beat the Dodgers? Either spend more money or go out and beat them on the field so they say, is it really worth this to spend all this money for this product? That's how you stop it. You don't stop it with, hard caps on. I've been back and forth on this. So if one day I talked about caps being needed, then I apologize because I'm backing off that statement 100%. I know I've wobbled on this issue a little bit. I'm not wobbling on it anymore. I'm a free enterprise guy. I can't be free enterprise and say, yeah, you should cap people's salaries. No. Let the market cap it. Yeah, again, I don't disagree with that one, Danny. I don't see any way the A's compete in the West because I think the Mariners will be better than they were last year. And I think they'll make the World Series. The Broncos. Oh, is that what we're talking about, Denver? Afternoon, Keith and Jets. Good. JB, how are you? Good to have you with us. I talked a little bit about the Orioles as one of the teams I thought improved through the offseason. Listen, I'm not a big Pete Alonso fan. with that said, I think Pete Alonso in that Oriole lineup makes a lot of sense. I do think that your kids, Gunnar Henderson had a tough year last year in the second season. Still a young kid. You're going to have these ups and downs a little bit. I think Gunnar Henderson bounces back. I think Holiday obviously builds off his struggles in the off season. I think getting a healthy Westberg back will be good for the Orioles. And I think they made a couple additions on the pitching staff, which will help them. Mariners, Astros, Rangers, then who cares? If you want free enterprise and MLB to get rid of the revenue sharing, I'm 100% for that. George is right about it. Teams, let teams go out of business, bigger player pool, lower salaries, more competition. There you go. No, but we talk about more expansion. Rob Manfred will sit up there and talk about the fact that we need 34 teams. I want free enterprise. Let teams go out. When I talked about revenue sharing, George was right. George said, I bought the Yankees. I didn't buy the Kansas City Royals. If I wanted the Royals, I'd have bought the Royals. Which is odd because George tried for years to buy the Indians before he bought the Yankees. But anyway. And that you're right. And then the market would lower the salaries. The market sets the price. I've said it a few times. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again for some of you guys that weren't here. I see the audience has grown in the last 20 minutes. But, you know, the question was, is Kyle Tucker worth $60 million? Yes, because the Dodgers are willing to pay him $60 million. So he's worth $60 million. Now go earn it. That's different. If you come to me next year and say, did Kyle Tucker earn his $60 million? I may say no. I likely will say no. Again, I'll take Bellinger at half that price every day of the week. I'll take Bo Bichette before I take Tucker. No, he's a good signing for the Dodgers. You know, Dodgers didn't need a shortstop or a third baseman. The Dodgers don't need I'm sorry. I got myself confused here. I mean, there was talk the Dodgers were interested in Kelly Bellinger again. I don't know if a Bellinger would want to go back there, you know, the way he finished up his Dodger career. But I agree, JB. I still think the Orioles won't be a surprise simply because that pitching staff comes way up short. Compared to some other teams in the division, it's always about pitching. You're going to get some surprises, good and bad. And it depends on which way that breaks. Probably for all these teams. As far as starting pitching staffs, again, I think the Blue Jays are head and shoulders over anybody else in the division. Depth-wise, I like the Yankees' depth. So I don't know, after I get from Fried and Cole, what I'm going to get. If Sheeler was the real deal and we get what we got for, 30% of the season, 40% of the season last year, well, we got a winner. But the back half of that rotation, what's Rondon's healthy? No. Heels too up and down. The depth, the quality of the depth is not where I'd like it to be. I like the Red Sox and some of the things they did. But I don't know about the total depth of that rotation. So, listen, most of these teams are going to go as far as their pitching takes them. I don't think that's any shock. The Dodgers win because their pitching's great. So is their hitting. But I think it's the pitching that really puts that team over the top. And what's brought the Mariners to the top, right? I think the other teams, I think the Mets had a big winner in getting Freddie Peralta. Pitching matters. They beat out the Yankees for Freddie Peralta. They beat out some other teams for Freddie Peralta. You may think, oh, my God, we're talking about Freddie Peralta. He's a good major league pitcher. Not somebody you want leading your staff, but he's good. If you're a major league team, you can just draft guys and then trade them 3 or 4 years later. Pittsburgh, I'm talking about you. And the A's. What about the A's? Don't leave the A's out of that conversation. Who's the best player they've had the last few years before Kurtz and the reliever, Miller? Where's he? See with the organization, they could sure use them. All these teams. They develop guys and then move them on before they got to pay them. If you don't want to spend, get out of the game. I agree on the deferred salaries, right? That's a little bit different than a salary cap. Actually, you're circumventing the salary cap when you do that if you had one. I'm not in favor of any cap. I'm not even in favor of the luxury tax, quite frankly, because that is a cap. It's a soft cap, but it's a cap. But I think the deferred salaries have to be dealt with. Okay. Big time. And you need a salary floor, JB. To me, the number one thing, you can talk about all these other things, and you're right. Number one to me is a salary floor. Bradish is number one. Rogers hopefully repeats. Boz, number three, as a flame. I like him a lot. Now, whether they whether the success matches the talent is always a question mark, right? And we'll find out. I like all three of those guys. But, again, potential is potential for a reason. The road to ruin is paved with good potential. Not exactly how it goes, but it kind of fits the baseball conversation. Absolutely, a salary floor would be $100 million, or at least. Might need to be 150. And again, it can be a moving target. But these teams aren't going to try, then I don't feel bad for them. I agree with JB. Let them go out of business. Nobody's too big to fail in sports. We could have less teams in every single sport. Major League Baseball, number one. The talent level would be better. The play would be better. Guess that goes together. The game overall would be better with less teams, quite frankly. I said this when I talked about contracting, 15 years ago, whatever it was. Good. Major League Baseball had to bail the Expos out. They had to bail out the Twins. You could contract 4 teams right now, and the league would be better off. Well, that's fair. You're entitled to go there and suck. I say it in the sense of if you're talking about caps, you have to have base floors. So again, I agree 100%, JB. That's a fair comment. My floor comment is more in the sense of if we're going to have this, we have to have this. Because if you don't want to spend and you want your team to suck and go out of business, that's fine. As we talked about before, I'm okay with that. But if we're not going to be okay with that, then if you want to be here, don't bitch and moan because the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Phillies, or the Blue Jays or whoever else spends a boatload of money and you don't, then you should not have got in this game. So in the sense of stop bitching about what the Dodgers do if you're not willing to spend money. That's what I'm talking about. So floor, no. Agree. If I want to talk in true free enterprise, you should be able to fail. Bobby Bonilla. When is that? It's in June, isn't it? Or July? Much more than he would have enjoyed getting it all at one lump sum. Deferred salary is just fine with me, especially great players are getting more endorsements. Whatever. I guess it's all one. It's one thing. Everybody's got an opinion. I'm not a big fan of deferred salaries because I don't know. Again, it's not a deal breaker for me, I guess. If you're gonna pay somebody $70 million though, and then pay them only like 10% of that every year, if you have a cap. If there's no cap, then Danny, you do whatever you want, right? But when you have a cap and you're doing this to circumvent the cap, I don't think that's cool. And again, I don't care what the Dodgers spend, just spend the money and pay the luxury tax like the system was designed to do. I may not like it, but that's what the system is designed to do. And the Dodgers have conveniently found a way around that. God bless them for their ingenuity. Oops. Where am I? Turn my camera off. Danny did that. First Scott mutes me, and then Danny turns my camera off. Where are we? 4 o'clock? We'll go a couple minutes over. Just to give Danny a chance to respond to my... It's not a tirade either. Again, I really don't have a problem with Dodgers are doing, other than the fact that we have a luxury tax and you're circumventing it by deferring a lot of money. I don't want a cap at all anymore. I really have decided I don't want a cap. I don't want luxury taxes. I don't want anything. And if that's the case, defer all the money you want. Yeah, maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need 8 teams to go away. And that never happens. I mean, don't think the Major League Baseball, don't think the NFL. By the way, the NFL would be a whole lot better with less teams too, whether you want to admit it or not. So would the NBA. Don't need all these teams. You want a better product? You can't keep dispersing the talent as far as you do. Fix number 3 for baseball, get rid of the Yankees. Well, thank God you finally came up with a rational comment, JB. Sorry, I am like so dry lately. The air outside is dry. That's why we're going to get, so much snow. 2 feet, Sunday to Monday. We fly out of here on Tuesday. Assuming our plane gets here Monday night. No cap. I get it. I get it. Other fans are going to say, yeah, because you're a Yankee fan, Keith. Danny, you're a Dodger fan, so you're okay with the fact there being no caps. Yeah, I am. As JB said, spend the money. Don't spend money, go out of business. The game will be better anyway. Well, now we're going to... It would ruin baseball. That's right. Because who would you hate? Well, you got the Dodgers to hate, but, they're still not the evil empire. For whatever reason, we're still the evil empire. We don't even go out and get the best players anymore, but we're still the evil empire. Well, we're in your division, so we still matter to you, JP. Before I do wrap it up, all right. Any other? Did anybody want to make any comments about the Hall of Fame? I'm okay with the results, by the way. Beltran, Jones. In fact, Jones, I think, deserves entry, maybe even a smidge more than Beltran, because defense matters. Defense matters, and guys like Andrew Jones hopefully will open the door a little bit. Well, Omar Vizquel now probably has to wait for the Veterans Committee to get him in. But there are guys who are just exceptional with the glove who made as big a difference as some of the guys that are in there strictly for their bat. Beltran actually did it with both, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be in there. I'm just saying Andrew Jones definitely deserves recognition, and I feel bad for Manny. I don't feel bad for Manny. I think Manny Ramirez should be in the Hall of Fame. I shouldn't say I feel bad for him. It is life, and whatever it is, life goes on. But I know the steroid stink is what has hurt Ramirez as much as now as much as it hurt Bonds and Clemens before him, and guys like Sheffield and whoever else you want to talk about. But I'm okay with these. Manny probably should have been in. If Carlos Beltran's a Hall of Famer, Manny Ramirez is a Hall of Famer. Next year, it looks like Utley and Chase Utley and Andy Pettit will have a decent shot of making another big leap and potentially getting in. Utley, I think it's in next year. Pettit might fall just short, and we might only have one inductee, depending on what the veteran committee does, or whatever we call that today. But I'm okay with this result. I think it makes sense. As far as some of the other guys who didn't get in, where is it? I don't know where my vote went. I had the Felix Hernandez, I don't know. A-Rod, no, he's not getting in because of whatever, but he probably ought to be in. Jimmy Rollins, Pedroia, no. Omar Vizquel's got one more year on the ballot. He only got the 18% this year. David Wright, Francisco Rodriguez, these guys will be holding over for next year. A lot of other ones are out. So, in any event, I'm the only guy interested in the Hall of Fame. We'll call it a day at that. So, anyway, no MLB update for the next 2 weeks. I'll be away on vacation, hopefully getting out of this cold weather. It's going to be 0 degrees here tomorrow, 0 degrees on Monday, about 25 below zero with the wind chill, and 2 feet of snow. And we're praying we get out of here. Monday, I've got to get myself dug out and out to the vet to take the cat to the cat hotel. And also she needs to have a little, we have to do some work on her. She's getting old. She's 17 and we got some kidney issues, which every older cat gets. And we got to see the doctor before we can get out. We were going to fly out tomorrow, but I didn't have any way to get the cat to the vet for 2 weeks. So couldn't make an appointment, and I really need to see the vet before I go away for my own peace of mind. But in any event, we will enjoy the trip. I'll be here Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll do Monday with Jack and Keith's weekend update. And Jack and I will put some shows in the can for while we're gone. And I will try to do the Sunday Stream of Consciousness each a Sunday. But this show will be preempted. Maybe we'll put a best of or something on, or just nothing. And if... then you guys save up your comments for when I get back in a couple of weeks. So, been fun again. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks. Update. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Sunday morning.